Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Wednesday, November the 9th, 2022. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here with Dirk and friends. We are back in the home office and ready to break down a terrific NBA slate tonight. Hello, everybody out there. Missed some of you on some of this travel. It's kept me running and racing. Hopefully, some of you enjoyed the podcast the other day and did well with some of those lineups. Today, though, a whole new day, and we have so much to talk about. It is ridiculous. And we've got this crazy thing of Fanduel. Don't go figure, but there's a game that was moved earlier. The Dallas Mavericks game this evening down in Orlando got moved to earlier because of the impending hurricane rains and weather down there in that area. So they wanted to get it started to get everybody out of there. And that's all well and good. And I'm glad that they're doing that, and safety to everybody down there. But Draftkings and Yahoo adjusted, and they moved their main slate from 13 games down to 12, and it starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. FanDuel, however, decided that they're going to leave this game as part of the main slate, and it does lock at 5:30, as in 40 minutes from right now. So we're going to talk a little bit about FanDuel early on, get into that, because we're going to have to get those set. Those lineups set before we're done here. So it's going to be building some stuff on the run, working together. We're going to make it work. We're going to figure it out. And then we'll have plenty of time, as we normally do, to get the Draftkings and Yahoo lineups in there. A couple of things real quickly. Just want to say hello to everybody in chat. King of all trades was the first in today. Congratulations. Yes, NBA is back after a day off, and King of all trades, thank you very much for the hump day slate vibes. Can't get better than that, man. That's fantastic. So great to see you in here. Earl Tyson, also known as Mike. Rodney Pollard, what's going on, my friend? Octavius Bailey. Jay Blazing is in the house. RJ, CMO 614, how are you, sir? Absolute Power, and JT, also known as Justin Timberlake. Needed the break yesterday. Yeah, it was a good reset day. Good day to take a breath and look over some stuff, go over some procedure and look at some different information. Hey, KOS, what's going on, my friend? Great to be in here with you guys. All right. I wish we had more time to chit chat today. I will say this, though, starting tomorrow, we're going to have a rotation that begins with a behind the paywall podcast that we're going to do in lieu of this in front of the paywall podcast. We're going to do that on certain days, and I'll give you that information now. So tomorrow, you need to be a Coach Talk member in order to check out our podcast. It is a 4-game slate, and it's the regular time at 4:45 p.m., and it'll be Crash and myself. That link will be in Discord to jump in and check it out. And then Thursday night, tomorrow night as well, the single game football podcast will be live. You don't have to be a member for that one. And then each week, Deb and I are going to do the Friday podcast together in front of the paywall. That's going to be our gift to the rest of the DFS players. So Friday, you will not have to worry about being a member if you want to catch that pod. But through the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, hopefully we've got everybody geared up and joined in. If you want to just check us out, you can go to dfscoachtalk.com, 3-day pass. I think we lowered it to like $9 or less than that. Or no, we even got rid of it. It's a 1-week pass for $9. So, I mean, that is dirt cheap. You can barely enter a contest for that, and you get a full week of Coach Talk. So we want to really give everybody a good look. So again, you can sign up there as a non-member right on our website, dfscoachtalk.com, and jump aboard. If you are a member and you're still looking to possibly upgrade to that year membership, we had that window that ends today at midnight, definitely DM me in Discord and I'll fill you in on that information, because starting tomorrow, sort of a new set here at Coach Talk, with starting some behind the paywall pods and really gearing things up. We've ratcheted up all of our internal information as far as projections, posting of projections of all the multiple sports that we cover, and just a multitude of things with our terrific group of Crash, Debs, Steven. We have a really strong podcast team. I'm back here at the mothership, so won't have to be messing around traveling, trying to jump on airplanes and in airports. It's been pretty funny. Rose, how are you, my friend? Great to see you in here with us. All right. Good. I just got a text. It's funny because DraftKings, I was traveling. They sent me an alert saying, what state are you in? Where are you? So yeah, everybody's wondering what the heck's going on, but I did answer them and I think we're good to go. All right. So we've got 36 minutes until Fanduel lock for Main Slate, the 13 gamer. So we're going to talk a little bit strictly about Fanduel. I know this is off what we usually do, but unfortunately, they've decided to add this game back in that was moved earlier. Couple of things. Number one, there are 5 teams today that play tomorrow. So we have 5 teams on the first night of a back-to-back, and it affects certain teams differently. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go over these. Dallas, Charlotte, Atlanta, Portland, and New Orleans. Those are the 5 teams on the first night of a back-to-back. So we'll keep that in mind as we go through them. As far as ownership goes, I'm going to renew it so we have, refresh it, so that we have the most up-to-date information. And we're going to go right directly to FanDuel because that's going to lock. So if you have any dummy lineups held in there, don't let 5:30 come around and you have a couple of skaboogie bums from this first game. They're going to get stuck in your lineup and you might as well forget it. It's over. So let's, make sure you hear this, you get on it, and you get these lineups set. Bobby Portis, how about this ownership, people? Crash is going to really crack up at this one. He's just 77.1% owned. That's all. 77.1 is the projected ownership on Bobby Portis. He's only 5,900 and he's starting, no Giannis. So obviously, free square, chalk block, as they say. You're no matter what, you got to go that route. Second guy, also love Cameron Payne with Chris Paul sitting. More than likely, he'll start. We need to get complete confirmation there to make sure that Payne is starting and Booker's not going to bump over to point. But he's 49% projected, so we'll be following that information. Then you've got Javon Carter at 32%, only $3,800. Royce O'Neal, 4,800 at 27%. And then here's a group of the rest of them. Miles Turner, Terry Rozier, Devin Booker, Brandon Ingram, Luka at 18%. And again, a lot of people are going to get shut out on this. So I am recommending here at 5 o'clock, 32 minutes actually, before lock, I'm going to play Luka. And I'm going to play Luka because I believe I'm going to get him at lower ownership. For all the people that don't realize this game was moved earlier and it's going to lock and they're not going to be able to get to him. So I think it's a great play. And that's really the reason I'm going to go there on FanDuel, but not on DraftKings or Yahoo. So you can't play him there because it's not on the slate. Just kidding. Grayson Allen's next. So Crash, there you go. $4,200 Grayson Allen. Ugh, that's all I've got to say. Marcus Morris, 5,300. Fred VanVleet is 8,500. Then you got Brandon Clark, Desmond Bane, none other than the Joker, DeAndre Ayton, and Scotty Barnes. And we'll finish up with 2 guys that 14% ownership, both could be a steal. 11-2 Durant, although that's going to be a little bit tough with the Luka strategy. But I think personally, $9,800 for Ja Morant seems pretty low. Sub 10K guy that, can throw 75, 80 on the board. Also want to say hello to Todd Lives for Wednesdays. I know you do, Todd. I know that that's the case. And I also forgot to say hello to Katie. Hello, Katie. How are you, dear? All right. Todd wants everybody to know that he's here and he's ready to win. And that's all there is to it. Todd, I'm with you. And I take it as serious as you do, my friend. All right. Let's dive into these games and talk about some Fanduel stuff so we can get that locked in. And then we're going to go back through like we normally would on the Game to Gamers. Boy from Cali, Chalk City today, man. I like two guys over 50% owned, Boy from Cali. So you might have to get double white chalk lines out for this one because it gets ugly. But I do have a few strange ones as well, lower owned, coach specials, lock washers, whatever you want to call them. All right, let's talk a little bit about FanDuel for a minute and a few guys. I'm just going to scatter around. Again, we have to do it different because of the lock time for FanDuel. Then we're going to go back. We'll go game by game and we'll knock these games out. No problem at all. All right, a couple of things that we have to look at here as far as that Dallas-Orlando game, other than Luka. You've got Dwight Powell starting instead of McGee. Don't touch either one of those guys, period. Zero ownership for Powell and McGee. Christian Wood is out, so people are going to say, oh, wait, we could get a deal with Powell or McGee. I'm just saying don't do it. It's a mistake. Orlando's side, you've got a confirmed lineup of Suggs Wagner, that's Franz Wagner, Okeke, Bowl, and Carter. We've been on Bowl. His price is reasonable enough for what he's been doing. I do like the fact that Okeke is in the starting lineup. And believe me, with Paolo Banchero being out, he takes a lot of shots. Okeke's going to believe that his jersey says Banchero, and he's going to shoot the ball just as much. So I think Okeke, just on usage, minutes, he's a good points per minute guy. That's where I'm going to come back with on the other side. So I'm going to try to sneak in. I'll just say it right off the bat here. Luka, Okeke, and Bowl are all probably going to make my FanDuel lineup that locks in 29 minutes. And hopefully we can sneak in front of a lot of other people that are not realizing this game was moved to 5:30 because of weather coming to the Orlando area. All right, other spots. That Denver, Indiana game is at 7 o'clock. No big standouts there that jump off the page to me. Halliburton is always extremely playable, but there's a lot of cost incurred there, but certainly a guy that you want to consider. Looks as though Portland's going to have a bunch of their bullets back as far as Lillard and Simons both, and Jeremy Grant, but Nurkic is the one that is questionable. So we're going to have to follow that news. I'm not going to go Lillard or Simons first game back really from injury, even though there's a day off and everything's settling in. 7-3 Portland against 3-8 Charlotte. I just not feeling it there. I think that game has a little bit more concern for me than normal, and I'm going to be laying off of it. On the Charlotte side, you've got Rozier and Oubre, PJ Washington, all possibility of plays at fair prices that you can look at. Other big things just to bring out with the FanDuel lock. We talked about it 2 days ago. If Trae Young sits, DeJounte Murray should be a lock and load play, and Young sat and Murray crushed it. I don't see why we can't go back to the same type of situation here. We do have 9-3 Utah and 7-3 Atlanta. Two teams very hot running into each other here. Utah just keeps it going. And Atlanta, again, always playable, especially Murray. If Young sits, I think you got to take a strong look there. I'm not going to go Markkanen, who's been a mainstay for me a lot lately. I think he'll get a little bit tougher D with Hunter and Collins and company. They have some athletic guys with some length, I think, that can bother them. All right, real quick check here. How's it going, Fear Money Entertainment? How are you, my friend? Octavius Bailey. I don't believe I said hello. Join the Discord. Yes, please join the Discord with us. Come and join it. Come to the light side, not the dark side. DFSCoachTalk.com. Also, hit that thumbs up. If you're on YouTube right now, thumbs up, subscribe, a little alert in the corner. Much, much appreciated. If you're watching live on Twitter, like and retweet is also appreciated. All right, Travis Wyndham. What's up, Travy Trav? How are you, my friend? Bev, it is good to see you today. I know Octavius Bailey. I always forget your TA388. You know what? My brain, all the different names between Twitter and the names people use on each site. They use different ones on Draftkings, Fanduel, Yahoo. Something different in our for PayPal when we do that. Something different in Discord. It's like there's no possible way in my meek brain that I can keep all of that straight. But now I know when you say that, that's for sure. Aaron Sampson with no P in Sampson, but that's okay. We still love him anyway. How are you today, my friend? All right, back to this FanDuel 21 minutes till lock fiasco. We've got a couple of other things here. Detroit, Boston, interesting game. Same kind of guys out, so no major things there. Back to the same scenario. Boston's a much better team. If it blows out, it kills you paying up for a Brown or Tatum. I just can't do it. And on the Detroit side, Ivy is coming off a really nice game. A lot of ball sharing in Detroit, which really is good for them going forward, but they're still 3-8 learning. And I just don't think that game is really something you got to get to. I'm back, I've got the Knicks and Brooklyn here. Let me see I want to see what the other site says, because this has me a little, okay. I have Jericho Sims starting on two different sites for the Knicks. So Mitch Robinson, we know, is out. And so what about Jericho Sims? Why is he starting instead of my man Isaiah Hartenstein? Because I like Isaiah Hartenstein a lot. So I am a little worried about that for sure. I'm not going Jericho Sims, but if Hartenstein is healthy, and I don't see him on this report injured. So I'm assuming that Hartenstein's still a good play. And if he's not starting, he's probably going to get the majority of center minutes and be very underowned. Whereas he was one of the favorites on there. So if somebody has any other information, let me know, because that is an interesting situation for this game. Kevin Durant, obviously, he's been a maniac. He is $11K, which is a fair price for a guy that has been playing with all of the weight of the world on his shoulders. It looks like it's probably going to be Sumner, Harris, O'Neal, and Claxton. So how can Durant not be main play? The Knicks are playing much faster and certainly have a lot of interest in KD as a second pay-up guy without question. So there's a guy that we want to touch on. Şengün for Houston has looked terrific. He's a guy that we want to consider on this FanDuel slate. I think a good sleeper play is Fred VanVleet. He's priced right. He's back. He's healthy. I read that he's not playing with any restrictions. So I think that you can obviously go there. FanDuel wise, other plays, I think standout wise, let's see here. We've got a lot of teams that are starting all their guns, like the Pelicans, McCollum, Ingram, Jones, Williamson, and Valanciunas, which brings down, the strength of any of those plays. I would go Zion as the number one choice from that squad personally, but I think that it makes it a lot tougher to get bang for your buck when they're all suiting up. Other things that I like, I mentioned Cameron Payne. He's my value play for FanDuel. If he's starting, which I'm anticipating he will. If he doesn't, we can always switch out, but I'm expecting him to play, and he always plays with confidence when he gets a chance in there. And I do have a lot of confidence in Payne I think he's a solid play. You're going to have a lot of people going to Booker because, with a lot of their other guns out, being Paul and Cam Johnson on top of it, it's you'll get a lot of ownership there. But the price is just too high for me. I believe Durant, Luka are better plays on that for that slate for sure. Other touches here. You still can get decent prices on Brooks. Bain for what he produces is a decent play. Trey Jones for the Spurs, I think, is in a great spot here against Memphis. I think he's very playable. If you want to spend up for a Spur, which I normally don't, I've always mentioned Keldon Johnson is my favorite Spur. I think he's got the most potential here. A lot of people are going to go Milwaukee Bucks crazy with Giannis out. You're going to see tons, and with Holiday out as well. And we know Middleton's been out. So the 9-1 Brewers right now looks like it might Brewers. Ha! There you go, Crash. I called Milwaukee Bucks the Milwaukee Brewers, and they're 9-1. So how's that for disrespect? Crash probably just hung up his phone, man. He is disgusted. Joe K says, boy from Cali needs to co-host. You're welcome anytime, boy from Cali. And Joe K, you're welcome as well, my friend. You guys can always jump on. I love collabs. Collabs are great. Bring them in. Back to Milwaukee. Portis is owned 8 million%. And you know what? He deserves it, though. He's in a phenomenal spot here. But you also can consider Brook Lopez. We've talked recently how in the last 10 or 14 days, Brook Lopez has looked like rookie Brook Lopez, but something to consider there. The question is, I know Crash is going to do it, but I don't believe George Hill, Javon Carter, Grayson Allen. No, I'm not going to do it. I refuse. So there we go. That's my stance on playing the Milwaukee Bucks guards as value. I don't want it. Fade City. Go ahead and eat the chalk with Portis or Lopez. You could play. There's so many other good options, cheaper. Why play Russian roulette with the Hills, Carters, Allens, and any other guards off the bench? Too risky for me. Oklahoma City Thunder, I like SGA. I like him a lot here. I think he's been phenomenal. He's got a little rest. I think he's in a great spot. He's same price range as like Booker and these guys. I would favor him much more. If I can make SGA work with Luka and Durant, I would do it. It's going to be very hard, and you're going to have to get some min players, but it can be done. Other FanDuels, since we only have 19 minutes to lock there, we've got the situation where Anthony Davis is playing and LeBron James is playing. If something changes with Davis, we will let you know. He's listed as probable. What I read is he's going to play. You know my stance there with the Lakers when they both play. It's just the cost per, points, fantasy points per minute. Both of them are always good, but when they're together, absolutely take a little bit of action away from each other. So, and that's just to be expected. Don't want any of the other scrub Lakers personally. That's just me. On the Clippers side, Paul George, again, I was dogging him about a week ago. He came out and just started, playing some ball. He's still been a little inconsistent, but, George, a fantastic play if you can afford him. I mean, he's just not quite making the pay up line for me, but man, you sure could, because we know the Lakers are run into a lot of trouble on both sides of the floor, but George, I would expect to take a big advantage of that. So if you want to go with a George rather than an SGA or a Durant, it's a logical pivot, just not one that I'm going to be diving on. Last game, just to chat about here, Cleveland on the road at Sacramento. Again, with the extra days rest, miraculously, we have a lot of these guys back and ready to play, which is somewhat bad news. I like both of these teams, but when you have Garland, Mitchell, LeVert, Mobley, and Allen all starting, and then the rest of those support players coming off the bench for full minutes, it makes it very difficult. The prices drifted up on some of those guys, and you got to consider it. Garland's still, to me, the best play of the bunch if you're going to go on that side. Sacramento, we've had consistency pretty much from Fox and Sabonis, but they will throw in a clinker. This is not the team I want to mess with to try to pay up for Fox or Sabonis. Cleveland is legit on D, and they play it inside out, and so you're not getting anything free at the rim. They're going to come out and guard the three, and just not the direction to go. If you want to go on the cheap, Herter, Barnes, or Murray are better options, but again, not racing to get to any Kings. So I hope for Mr. Tyson and company that gives you a little bit of a feel for what we're looking at for FanDuel. And what I'm going to do right now, let me see something real quick. And again, we're impromptu today because FanDuel news broke, and it sort of threw things up in the air as far as how we need to build these lineups. How about we do this? Unless anybody objects, I am going to go on FanDuel right now, and I'm going to build a one brain is better than one. How's that sound? There's no such thing, and my brain doesn't quite equal one normal brain, but I'll take, how about 3/4 of a brain? Some would argue half a brain to put a lineup together. So let's do it together and build this so that nobody gets shut out. We have 15 minutes till the FanDuel lock, and let's make this work. So I'm going to figure out which game, what I want to buy into here, and we're going to build it. Are you guys ready? I know this is an impromptu, but that's the way it goes. So we're putting Luka in as a point guard, and we wanted to put Durant in. Again, this is a GPP build, so we can get a little goofy here and there. I mentioned Cam Payne. He's only 4,600 at point guard, so there's a good spot. We talked about Chalk City eating massive chalk with $5,900 power forward Bobby Portis. Let's see. So that gives us 5,300 per man. So we can make this work. We're not going to be able to make the SGA thing work on this lineup. If you want to do SGA instead of one of the two pay-ups that I just did, you are welcome to do that as well. All right, let's see. There was one, I wanted to look at a couple other guys here. Appreciate everybody rolling with us, but don't get shut out on FanDuel today. That's all I'm saying. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take Luka off a point guard, put Trey Jones in there, and then Luka, who's now shooting guard eligible, is moved over to shooting guard. So far we have Trey Jones, Cameron Payne, Luka, Kevin Durant, and Bobby Portis. I'm going to look one other spot for something odd here. Yep, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And this is a strange strategy, but I think it's going to work. Brook Lopez. Going to go with both bigs. $5,900 Bobby Portis at power forward. $6,300 Brook Lopez at center. So that is a different strategy that will be a little contrarian, which we want with this type of a build. Darius Garland's at 8, so that's a little bit out of our price range, which is a shame because I do like him. We do have some really good buy down guys here, though. A lot of good options. I think I'm going to go Dylan Brooks at shooting guard for 5,400. I think that this is the type of game that fits very well into his repertoire. And then we're going to go staying on the cheap here. Got a couple of good options at small forward. Cam Johnson was only 4K, but he's out. Cam Reddish. Let me just see Cam Reddish just to double check. He played 37 and 28 minutes. How the hell do you get 14 fantasy points in 37 minutes? I really think, I know Boy from Cali would have like 15. I what is it? Let's see. Who else in here? Somebody. And then the last game, 28 minutes, 8 fantasy points. Are you serious? King of Smack would have like 22 in that much time frame. So no, Mr. Reddish, you're not going to make the cut. All right, I got a question for you here. If you did go with a third buck, and I don't go with 3 bills, I don't like it. Jordan Noir is a dangerous guy, but that's again why I don't want to get in that mix of all that craziness of trying to figure out who's going to supply something. I'll look at Grayson Allen just to humor everybody. 27 minutes, 15 fantasy points the last time. That's not good. 20 minutes, 28 fantasy points. That starts to get my interest a little bit. I can't do it. I'm sorry, guys. I made too much fun of him. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. And that's all there is to it. I'm going to look somewhere else. Got another opportunity here. It's pretty pathetic, but I think there's possibilities on 2 or 3 guys. I'll tell you where I'm going, fellas and girls. Kenyon Martin at small forward at $4,500. That leaves us 1 spot on Fanduel, and it's $4,600 remaining. I'm having to go bargain basement here a little bit, but that's because we purchased up, and I found the guy that I want. I want a very cheap Harrison Barnes at power forward for $4,600. So there we have 2 brains are better than 1. No, half a brain better than 1. Trey Jones, Cameron Payne, Luka Doncic, Dylan Brooks, Kevin Durant, Kenyon Martin, Bobby Portis, Harrison Barnes, and Brook Lopez. So that is a really cool lineup. I'm going to lock it in, and I like it so much. I think I'm going to play it in a couple other contests. I'm going to play it in not only the play that we're talking about as a GPP. I'm going to do a coach special here and play this in a single entry. Okay, I'm locked in. So there we go. Now we can get back to normalcy. So if you missed the Brandon Clark, maybe he's maybe a playable guy, possibly. All right, couple people let me say hello to. My good friend Lanny Job, one of 2 guys, the first 2 members ever to join Coach Talk 2.5 years ago. One of them was Mr. Lanny Job. So Lanny, I love you, man. You are a foundational guy and a big part of Coach Talk, no doubt about it. Definitely hit that thumbs up. Boy from Cali reminded me, I always forget to ask. We've got quite a decent amount of guys in here and gals, so let's get that in there. There's Golden State Warriors 30 in here. Is that? I'm not sure if that is just a bot or if that's a Golden State fan in here or what. Garage Junkie Productions, how are you, my friend? And he is recommending you gently caress the thumbs up button, and I appreciate that. Let's see. Mega love shout out everyone, NBA fans. All right, Golden State. I love the Golden State Warriors person. That is a new person in here. Love it. Doug L. Brandon Clark. I always feel like I'm going to get burned by Brandon Clark. I like him. He was one of my picks as my favorite players. My son and I went to the summer league, and Brandon Clark was phenomenal. I thought this guy is going to be a superstar in this league, but he just never has quite carved out a big enough role. And I know we got to see for sure who's in and out, if there's any changes there, but I'll consider it. Little Monster, how are you, my friend? Great to have you in here as well. All right, we got that done. If you joined us late, real weird Fanduel main slate locks in 7 minutes, a little over 7 minutes. We built half a brain is better than 1 lineup in here, and we went over. So lock in your Fanduel. Don't get stuck with garbage guys. If you don't want anybody from that early Dallas-Orlando game, just don't have anybody rostered, you know, so that you can fill it in and do it at 7 o'clock if that's what you're going to do. I ended up having just Luka in that game, although I wanted to have a little bit more. I wanted to have Okiki. Why didn't I put Okiki in, guys? What? Let me go look. I'm going to have to do. I know we're working on the fly here because of this, so I got to look real quick because somehow Okiki slipped my mind. Oh, we got to change. I think we got to change. Harrison Barnes, sir, you have been waived. Goodbye, sir, and thank you for your service. You've been replaced by Chuma Okiki, is now the new player at power forward. Now that gives us $500 if we want to use it. Let's take a look here. I'm enjoying this, by the way, not having to talk to myself. Oh, guess what? Somebody else just got cut. Mr. Dylan Brooks, your walking paper, sir. It's been a pleasure. Now it's either Jalen Suggs or Jalen Green. They're both 5,900, or Jamal Murray's 5,900. Wow. Josh Hart, 5,800, and Jaden Ivey, 5,800. Good Lord. Anybody want to share their Lanuka A? How are you? So let's get some votes. Who's going to fill this last spot with 6 minutes to go? We need a shooting guard on Fanduel, and there are 5 people I'm considering. Let's get a couple votes in here so we win this together as a team. Jalen Suggs in that early game against Dallas, Jalen Green against Toronto, Jamal Murray versus Indiana, Josh Hart versus Charlotte, or Jaden Ivey versus Boston. Let's get a couple of votes in here and fill that spot in. Jalen Green is voted on by Little Monster. Anybody else have any input in this FanDuel lineup? Love to hear your input. And they're going along with Jones, Trey Jones, that is, Payne, Doncic, Durant, Martin, Portis, Okiki, and Lopez. Marcus Morris, a write-in choice. Suggs gets a vote. Ivy gets a vote. Well, boy, you guys are all on the same page. Marcus Morris getting a write-in. That's interesting. I know Marcus Morris is one of my standby guys I always go to. The Mavs D's tough. I don't think I want to go Suggs. Jalen Green is sort of the guy I'm thinking about. We do have another Sampson also. All right, we're doing it. Jalen Green is the choice. We got a couple of votes. Think that's the direction I feel most comfortable with. That's where we're going to go. We used every nickel. I got to save it right now. Okay, we're in. Jones, Payne, Doncic, Green, Durant, Martin, Portis, Okiki, and Lopez. Thank you, my friends. Thanks for the support there. Let's hope Jalen Green has like a 40-point real game, because I know he is capable. All right, let's switch gears. Everybody set there? Everybody knows FanDuel, what's going on? We're going to look at ownership on Draftkings and Yahoo real quick, and we'll go over the games briefly so that we can get ready for the rest of them. On Draftkings, Chalk City, Bobby Portis, still 58%. Campaign, who I like a lot, 55%. Darius Garland is 30% because he's only 6,900. Very, very underpriced there on DraftKings. Miles Turner, Javon Carter, Terry Rozier, DeAndre Ayton at 20%. George Hill, Fred VanVleet, 17%. I really like Fred VanVleet tonight. He's gonna make some of my lineups. He didn't quite make the FanDuel lineup cost-wise, but I like him today. Devin Vassell, not crazy there. Gary Trent, I know he finally had a good game, but I'm not crazy about him. Desmond Bain, 7,700, makes it tough, but 14%. Keldon Johnson, I like 7,300 at 14%, a decent play. Grayson Allen, no, sir, thank you, 14%, but he can shoot the three, we know that. Cade Cunningham, a very fair $7,500, 13%. And then to round it off, people that are between 12 and 10%. Ready? Scotty Barnes, Buddy Hield, Royce O'Neal, my Brooke Lopez, Malik Monk, Mr. Alperen Şengün, who I do think is a great play. I am not falling for the Kevin Love stuff. Don't do it. Trap City, Jalen Smith. I always like him, but he can burn you too. Jared Allen, 10%. So you got some really good price guys that could have big blowups that are even single digits. Devin Booker's only 9%, Halliburton's 9%, Ingram 8, Anunoby in a good spot at 8. I mean, you've got there's so many good choices today. There's so many different builds that you can go with that it's nuts. All right, we're going to look at Yahoo ownership for the Yahoos out there like me. Portis 71%, $23, so he's not free. Campaign is free. He's $10, 65%. You got to eat that chalk, but it's worth it. Big Fred Van Fleet love at $33. He's 25% owned. And Scotty Barnes, a couple of Toronto Raptors, also 25%. A guy that I like a lot tonight, $49, but he's the 5th highest owned on Yahoo, but I think he deserves it. He's $49, which I expected to be like 53. So I think that's a bonus. Vassell, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, all about 20%. Then this one surprised me. Jason Tatum, $43, because that's a little cheap for him, is 19% owned on Yahoo, getting a lot more love there than on Fanduel or Draftkings. Brook Lopez not sneaking up on anybody on Yahoo at 18%. And then Marcus Morris, 18%. We had the write-in vote for him. He's in the top 10 owned projected on Yahoo. Javon Carter, and then you have Vanderbilt, Morant. Morant's only $42. That is too cheap for Mr. Ja Morant. Ridiculously low price. He should be 52. Terry Rozier, Anunoby, Jalen Smith, Jaylen Brown, Gary Trent, Brandon Ingram, and Nicholas Claxton. That's the way it looks on Yahoo. All right. Back into the mix here. And let's go. And we'll go briefer because I don't want to go too long today. We do have lock at FanDuel, so that's out. Now we're focusing on DraftKings and Yahoo for the main slate, unless you're still going to build a bunch of FanDuel lineups without using this early game. That's not a problem. All right, let's go back to the games and the lines real quick. We'll biz through these and retouch on some of the names that we talked about. First game, we said it just locked Dallas and Orlando, so hopefully you got a little bit of ownership there. We got Luka and Okiki in there. Let's get off to a good quick start with that half a brain lineup. Denver Nuggets, Indiana Pacers, 7 o'clock. Denver by 5.5, 235.5. Hello, right out of the chute. Denver busting that 120 implied, which is really impressive. 120.5 to 115 for the Pacers. Maybe I should have used Jamal Murray this game's going to be, there's going to be up and down in this game for sure. In that game, as far as injuries go, my friends, we've got Najee, Gillespie, and Smith out. Indiana, Nesmith, questionable. Duarte and Tice out. So again, you can go in different spots there with that big over-under. Murray, Porter, Gordon. And of course, if you're going to pay up for the Joker, that's certainly an option. It's not going to be my choice to pay up for him today, but always a great option. He gets some good Miles Turner, Jalen Smith, a couple of bigs in there to defend him. I think Halliburton, always a fantastic play. He'd be my favorite play of this game if I could afford him, but he is, 8.6, which is very fair, but you can only buy up in so many spots. I think Halliburton's a nice buy up though. To be honest with you, he is going to get KCP defense though, and KCP is tough. That's the final thing that just swayed me barely, but I think you could get away with him. Healed at 6.4, certainly a playable price. Next one at 7's Portland Trailblazers, Charlotte Hornets. Portland minus 3.5, 219.5 total, 111.5 for Portland, 108 for Charlotte. This game not as interesting to me, especially with all the returning people. All those guys from Portland are going to play, it looks like to me, except we don't know about Nurkic. Nurkic is the question mark. We'll get that before game time, so you'll be able to make the proper decision there because it changes certainly that rotation for Portland. For Charlotte, it doesn't look like we're going to get Martin, Ball, or Hayward. So that same group of Smith, Rozier, Oubre, Washington, and Plumlee. I would prefer to go on a Hornet. It seems like I have a token Charlotte Hornet every time, whether it be Rozier, Oubre, PJ Washington, Dennis Smith. I wouldn't mind getting to one of those guys, but again, not a focal point for me. Next one at 7:30, Utah Jazz, Atlanta Hawks, Atlanta by 4, 229, 112.5 for Utah, 116.5 for Atlanta. Another game that has potential. It's certainly, want to go there, but it would be nice to know what the Trae Young news is. So that's going to be key. If Young sits, it's time to pay up for Murray. Same thing I said the other day. I don't see why that same scenario can't happen. 9-6, that stings a lot though. So if Young's definitely not out, then Murray's not going to make the squad by any stretch. I'm not playing 9-9 Young or 9-6 Murray if both of them are in the lineup. That's just doesn't make any sense in my opinion. You can go other spots cheaper, like a Collins at 6-1, makes perfect sense. Markkanen up a little bit to 7-6, that makes it difficult. Vanderbilt at 5-2 or Kelly O at 5-4 aren't bad. Haven't enjoyed the fact with Sexton being back, playing a role with Clarkson and Conley. Don't like that vibe of sharing the ball and that whole stuff. So I need ball hogs that don't want to give up the rock, if you know what I mean. So not a huge game for me. A lot depends, though, on that Trae Young news. All right, next one, Detroit Pistons, Boston Celtics. Boston by a big fat 12.5. Again, like I mentioned earlier, it scares you a little bit. 226, decent total, 106.75 implied. For Detroit, 119.25 for the Boston Celtics. Bagley and Burks remain out. And I promised I wouldn't say the two big guys from Boston because I waste everybody's time. So I'm not going to say them because they're both out, Gallinari and Williams. All right, so 3-8 Pistons, 7-3 Celtics in Boston. Lopsided, very possible. All the guys in for both squads that matter. That makes for a big fat pass. I don't want to spend up for Brown or Tatum. Don't particularly want to go to second flight guys. They're not good enough, in my opinion. And Cunningham, Ivy, Bay, Bogdanovich, Stewart with Durant is back off the bench. They have some good backup guards. Just not enough meat on the bone for me to gnaw on to roster anybody there. I need to check chat in case nope, everybody's silent in chat. Can somebody say hello? Hello. Anybody in chat? Murray is a lock. Well, if Trae sits, correct there, Octavius? If Trae plays, how do you justify 9-6 for Mr. Murray? But I mean, not saying that he's not a great player, but yes, Bev, thank you, Bev. Appreciate you. Somebody's at least still listening. No, everybody else is, no, I'm just kidding. I hope not. Hope everybody's listening because we're making a lot of cash money. All unmarked bills, bring them on. Let's go. All right. We keep moving on, my friends. We go to 7:30 Knicks Nets. Brooklyn by 3.5, which is surprising. They're favored over anybody. 220.5 total. 108.5 Knicks, 112 Brooklyn. I know Brooklyn had that one great game, but it is what it is. What are you going to do here? Well, I would like to know this whole fiasco with Jericho Sims starting. You would think that would be Isaiah Hartenstein's position, and no one's going to touch him. It got me scared enough to go from Hartenstein to Brook Lopez. So hopefully I don't blow a gasket here while I'm watching. I still think Hartenstein gets the big minutes. I think he closes, but I don't like the fact that Tibbs isn't starting him. That it angers me, but that's what it is. So that's the only reason I don't think Hartenstein's the number one play at center at his price. Nurkic and Jeremy Grant are out. Okay, thank you, Absolute Power, for that information. Let's go back just briefly, real quick here and see the instant reaction here. So we've got the two bigs out for Portland. Yes, it does bring up guys like Lillard and Simons and Hart, but the Lillard and Simons had been out. How much hard are they going to be pushed? That's a tough call, man. It does. Is it Drew Eubanks time? Trendon Watford time? You've got options here. Greg Brown. I mean, Drew Eubanks has proved that he can be a really good center in this league. If he's the guy that's going to start, it might be time to go there rather than going the double Portis Brook Lopez. I've already done that on Fanduel. I feel good about it. I'm going to stick with it on Fanduel. But on the other sites, if they name Drew Eubanks as a starter, which I think they will, I think it's going to be eat the chalk on the 3.2K guy, because what it will do is it will allow us to get to another pay up guy. So a guy like SGA or somebody that I couldn't quite get in the Fanduel lineup, I'll be able to get in Draftkings and or Yahoo. Yes, Jay, me too. That's big news, man. Hart, what does that mean? Hart out as well? Or Hart is a good play, Doug L? Because if Hart's out as well, then now we got to start looking back at Lillard again. What the heck? I love the NBA, man. It's just keeps you guessing all the time. All right. So we know we've got renewed interest there, and it is, I totally trust Drew Eubanks. He's the kind of guy that could roll out of bed, stick him in the starting lineup, and he does what he's got to do. He's a pro's pro. I like Şengün a little bit better than Pirtle, Aaron. Personally, I just think it's a better matchup, good spot, and I think it's got a higher ceiling. I mean, Şengün's a scorer. Pirtle's a ball player, but Şengün scores the basketball. All right. Oh, okay. Doug L's saying that Hart's a good play. Yeah. I haven't been as fired up for Hart the last 2 or 3 weeks. I would prefer to go, if I had to go multiple Trailblazers, I'd go up to one of the guards, Lillard or Simons, along with Eubanks, as opposed personally of going to Hart. But again, you're right. He's going to have more usage, more rebound potential. Eubanks is a pretty good glass cleaner, though. It's not like, he can't rebound. He's not as good of a scorer as Nurkic, but he certainly can hit the glass just as well. And that's where Hart, when he does go off, he gets double-digit rebounds. So, with Jeremy Grant playing and hopefully our man in there getting those rebounds, will be all right. So, all right, back on target here. Interesting info there. Definitely threw a curveball. We go on to so anybody else in that Knicks Nets game? Really, I'm all about Durant. Probably not a whole lot back on the other side. Brunson flirting with that 7K number, though, at 7-1 is very tempting. I will consider that slightly. And then Hartenstein still fully in play for me. Houston and Toronto. Toronto by 10, 224 total. 107 applied for Houston, 117 for Toronto. This game also, as we know, has great potential. Any matchup against Houston is usually a good one. They're 2-9. They don't defend well. Van Vliet, fantastic play today. I think he's a fantastic play. He may be the guy that I'm able to get to now that I can go to Eubanks. So Van Vliet, high on my list. Obviously, I like Jalen Green on the other side. He's on our FanDuel lineup and may make a different lineup for me as well. Anunoby, I think, is showing signs of playing better. I mean, we know Siakam's out, and we know that he's, as we said multiple times, in a good way. And I mean this as a compliment. He is a ball hog. He's going to get you every DFS point he can. With him out, a lot of that's going to filter to Anunoby, Barnes, and I think Van Vliet's shown that his shot attempts are up with Siakam out as well. So I think you can go easily match up a few guys on both sides here with Van Vliet's, Anunoby's, Greens, Porter, Şengün's. Very nice targetable DFS game, in my opinion. Pelicans and Bulls is the next game on the list. and it is a 232.5 total. Pelicans are road favored. Bulls are not getting much love. Pelicans 2-point favorite, 117.25 implied for New Orleans, 115.25 for the Chicago Bulls. In this game, we have no Lewis, Liddell, or Temple. Nance is questionable. Ball and White remain out for Chicago. So you got the Levine and DeRozan scenario where they're both playing, which always makes it a little bit tougher for me to roster one of those guys when you got, split usage from DeRozan and Levine, DeRozan being a little higher, but DeRozan's also going to get Herb Jones. So DeRozan is therefore eliminated for me from that pay up spot as far as I'm looking at it. CJ McCollum, a decent spot. Brandon Ingram still not quite like totally hitting on all cylinders, but he's due for a breakout game. I think that is coming. Zion has looked better to me, and I think he's going to be a fine play here. Don't like the price. Joval, same thing. So not my favorite game. It's not the highest spread. I think you do have some respectable defenders on both sides, and Dosunmu and Williams, and Ingram, Herb Jones. These guys can defend. So, one-offs here for me in that one. 8 o'clock. Let me check, make sure there's no other stuff here. Stars and Scrubs, according to T Sims. How you doing, T Sims, man? What's up? Build the value we have tonight or balance build. Okay. For me, it's going to be more of Stars and Scrubs. Now that I have Eubanks to add to that, now I've got a legit, what I'd consider 3 scrubs. So I can go to at least 3 pay-ups. For me, it's going to be Durant for sure. I'm looking at SGA. I'm looking at Van Vliet. Obviously Luka on the earlier slate. So I think there's ways, different spots. I'll go over a few more pay-ups that I like. And I think the scrubs are legit scrubs, though. I think, the Cameron Paynes and the Drew Eubanks and guys like that. So you're going to see the majority of my builds today that will fall under the Stars and Scrubs moniker for sure, Mr. Sims. All right, let's look at a couple of the rest of these. 8 o'clock as well. Phoenix Suns at Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota's a 1.5 favorite, 222.5 total, 110.5 implied for Phoenix, 112 for Minnesota. In this game, we've got Crowder, Johnson, Paul, Wainwright out for Phoenix. So you got 2 starters out, 2 scrubs out for Minnesota. So Minnesota full squad at home, 5-6 against the Suns, 7-3. Again, one of those scrubs in the Stars and Scrub builds campaign. I love them in this spot at that price. You can also see some increased usage. Obviously, if you want to pay up for Booker, you can do that. Mikal Bridges usually gets a few more shots up in situations where you think Paul's just a playmaker, but he's still, going to take those mid-rangers and usually get the ball to the bigs on the break. I've found when it's Payne and Booker running the show more so, you're going to get more wing production from guys like Bridges and, when Cam plays, stuff like that, as opposed to just the bigs enjoying the love that they usually get from Chris Paul. Ayton is in there. Torrey Craig not going there today for me. And again, Minnesota is in that scenario. You've got Gobert back now, so that Cat getting the extra rebounds and few blocks and stuff are going to be gone. And then Russell and Edwards, Edwards certainly more of the offensive threat, but you pay for it. And Phoenix is good defensively. So probably not going to have any T-Wolves, and maybe definitely one, maybe 2 Suns is a possibility. But I don't think you have to go much deeper than that in that game. All right, the Giannis-less Milwaukee Bucks play the Oklahoma City Thunder. An absolutely pathetic 213, 1.5 point favorite for Milwaukee, and it is a 213 total. So Vegas is telling you don't do it. The next game is 21.5 point higher total, which equates to an enormous amount of DFS points. So I would personally, one of my takes on this slate is I am fading all of that guard chalk that everybody is going to be going ballistic for. Hill, Carter, and Allen specifically, and Nawara coming off the bench. I'm just not going to go there because I think they're going to be overowned with a lot of floor involved. I do like Portis and Lopez, though. Even though this is a low-scoring game, they're both, to me, very playable. I prefer to go one over the other here, and I'm going to have a few different builds, but I don't think it's a real huge disaster to go with both because everything's going to go up for both of them. Rebound ratio, assist ratio, points per game. Certainly should be able to feel comfortable with those guys in your lineup. This should be a really good game, though. I mean, the Thunder have played very respectable basketball. They really have. SGA, again, at 9-1, I absolutely love him. He's going to be there with, I'm still working on it, but the whole Van Vliet, Durant, SGA, really trying to get a group of these guys in there. SGA is the only guy, though, that I'm going with for the Thunder. Giddey's fair priced at 6'4". Don't quite trust the other guys on that squad. Poku's back, JRE, Jalen Williams, who I like, but just no one dominant enough on this big of a slate for me to have to go there. All right, also at 8, here's that big 234.5 game. It's the Memphis Grizzlies favored by 5.5 at San Antonio, and you got the alarm bells 120 implied for Memphis, 114.5 for the Spurs. Ja Morant, there's the other guy, and we talked about. The question is, he's 10-1. Is he worth $1,000 more than SGA? Is he worth $2,000 more than Fred VanVleet? That's the $1 million question. 10-1 is a big number. I like him a lot in this game. The pace is great. I love a lot about him. I just think I want to save the $2,000 and make other stuff work. So as of right now, if it locked, which we have a little bit of time, we have an hour and 10 minutes till lock. I would slightly favor saving a few bucks and go with one of the other stud guards, but I think Ja's a terrific play. He's the best play on the Memphis side to me. It's just that points per salary becomes a little bit hard of a nut to crack here. Bane at 7.7, very fair price for him. Dylan Brooks is only 5.7. You saw that I almost had him in that FanDuel lineup. At that cheaper price, he always throws in a wacky 50-point DFS game every now and again. Not saying that I'm predicting that for tonight, but that we know he has that ceiling and he's not afraid to shoot the ball. It's just sometimes he doesn't make diddly. That's for sure. Let's see. Playing guys that are chalk behind the starters, that's very risky. That's why I'm fading all the chalk. I don't think I will get burned. Burn, baby, burn. Okay, I like that strategy. KOS. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I believe in some of that. I like to mix and match some of it, and depending on the slate, some of those I really agree with you. Some of them I think, you gotta toe the line. That's what's fun about DFS is there's no one specific way to always do it. It's so slate specific, and you got to be able to bob and weave and make some moves on the go here. But I do appreciate the input. I love the ideas that everybody's sharing. I'm sorry, Lanuka, I missed yours. What do you think about Toppin for the Knicks? I don't trust him. Not on a big slate like this. Just not somewhere I'm going to go. If you take a guy like that and he gets you 40 fantasy points, you're a hero. But, if he's going to throw you a 15 fantasy point night, then it's early to bed. So just a little too risky. Maybe if you want to use him in a GPP, that would make sense. I think I answered all the other questions, I hope. Plumlee, King of Smack likes? I don't know. Saying Plumlee twice, is that Candyman thing, or how does that work? But I don't know. Plumlee, it scares me. All right, Garland's a good pivot off the chalk. Yeah, Garland at that price, certainly a good pivot, no doubt. All right, back to it. In that game, I like Trey Jones cheap at a point guard. I think he's in a good spot. Ja's not a good defender. No secret there. But I think that he's a nice play at a cheap price to pay down. And really, Keldon Johnson be the only other guy I'd consider from the Spurs. Even though this has a really nice number, I'm just not over the top crazy about it. I think if you get the right couple of guys out of this game, it can be a slate shifter for you. And I know a lot of people will go to Jones, Vassell, Johnson, Pirtle, Morant, Bain, Brooks on the other side, some Steven Adams at 5-3. Again, I think you have some decent plays there, but not slate breakers. I think this game is going to be slightly over-owned. I will have exposure to it, but I will not be stacking it under any circumstances. Battle of LA, 10 o'clock. Lakers, Clippers, scant 219.5. Clippers favored by 3. As we know, we're expecting both LeBron and Davis to play, which is elimination for me for one or the other. I just don't like when both play for the price that they are settled at. Don't like the scrubs from the Lakers. Not going to have any Laker love tonight for the Lakers fans out there. Sorry about that. I do like the Clippers. Here's my $1 million one, though, that I got to figure out. I got to make this decision. I have an hour and 6 minutes to do it. I love Paul George in this game. And he's in there with my whole quandary of Ja Morant, Fred VanVleet, all these guys, Kevin Durant, the guys I want to pay up for. Obviously, we can't have them all, but man, I like George in this spot. I think it's going to be hard to fade, but he's highly in consideration. I think he's priced where he should be, and really, should dominate usage here. Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann, risky. Marcus Morris is more of a safe play, believe it or not. Usually haven't been able to say that, but he's been more of a steady Eddie. He's getting the minutes. I think that he is definitely at the price. Rosterable. I don't think he's slate breaking, but rosterable. Zubats, he has his games. I do like Anthony Davis's interior defense. I know that centers have been clobbering the Lakers, but I think that will normalize a bit. And I loved Zubats in the days where he was 4-6, but at 6-6, it's a little bit different tune, and the expectations are a little bit different as well. Not a game that I like that much, nor do I like even this last game that much. So I will be sitting there watching the 10 o'clock games. The last game ends at 8 before that. And we have 2 hours to wait for those 2 10 o'clock games, of which I'm not going to have a ton of ownership. So I better have a big, gigantic score, a huge lead, insurmountable lead is what I'm looking for going into these last two. The last game is Cleveland by 4 on the road in Sacramento, 227.5 total, 115.75 for Cleveland, 111.75 for the Sacramento Kings. Rubio, Windler remain out for Cleveland. Sacramento has a full squad. So we're back to what we chatted a bit about earlier. Garland, too cheap. Best play in this game, in my opinion. Donovan Mitchell, he's been breaking slates. Certainly still can, but definitely not the ceiling that he had when Garland was out. So that's what you have to, second guess yourself on. LeVert, wildly inconsistent this year. And Mobley and Allen have been very good. They've been steady, but they have not been slate breaking. And you look for slate breakers on with this many selections, and just not completely crazy about them. So more than likely, it's going to be a Garland play for me. I think Mitchell's a little overpriced. I think he's a good play, but a little overpriced. On the Sacramento side, as I mentioned before, I don't want to pay up for Fox and Sabonis against this stout Cleveland defense. I just think that, they're going to get some of theirs. There's no doubt about it. But I think that their ceilings are somewhat thwarted with a great defense of the Cavaliers. And I think you're better served going with the second flight cheap guys as a Herter, Barnes, or Murray, as opposed to the big boys in Fox and Sabonis. So that is the way that I see it. Best pay up and value on Fanduel for Earl. Best pay up and value on Fanduel. Let me look real quick, my friend. Let's see what's going on so far, by the way. So out of the gate, I guess Luka Doncic already has 17 and a half fantasy points with 4 minutes and 52 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Dang, man, I love him. Chuma Okeke, 6.8 fantasy points left with that time frame. 4 points, 4 rebounds already for Chuma. So good start for us, guys. I like it. All right, let's go back. I'll answer your FanDuel question real quick. Let's see what we have here, sir. We've got, again, we need some news to get this solidified, though. That's going to be a big part of it. I like, as deep value, I like Cameron Payne. I think he's so incredibly cheap on FanDuel that, obviously they don't have time to reset the pricing, but I think campaign is a fine play as far as just dead value. Let me see. Where is he on here? I'm trying to find his price. Let me see. Where are you, Cam? We put him on that other line. Oh, why aren't I seeing campaign? Oh, you know what? I clicked on the wrong thing, guys. I clicked on the 4-game slate, something totally wrong here. So I'm going back, going to now I have to go to what they're calling they have another main slate now. What is FanDuel doing tonight? They have a 7, a 7:30, an 8, and a 10. The 7 o'clock one only has 4 teams in it. Oh my Lord. So I'm going to answer this the best you're going to have to play multiple slates if you want to get a lot of exposure to FanDuel here. I think they've lost their stinking minds, though, if you want to know the truth. But I'll give you campaign pricing right now, because now that we uncovered that FanDuel is a cluster, $4,600 from campaign, I'll take that. I think we're going to get over 30 fantasy score for him, which will be plenty to get it done. I think that Bobby Portis, as much as he's 1,000,000,000% owned, 5,900 is sort of ridiculous. And I also think Darius Garland's price is way too low for what he is expected to produce. Let's see. I still need 11 from him. Come on, Doncic. Let's go. Todd, who lives for Wednesdays, I took his 17.5 points in the first half. Gotcha. Luka's got you, man. He's got your back. No worries. You're welcome, Earl. As far as pay up, I go Durant as my number one pay up today, and then those other guards that I spoke of as well. All right. Any final questions? I'll give away a ticket for $5 ticket for either FanDuel or DraftKings. If I call your name out, please shoot me a quick DM on Twitter. We are at DFS Coach Talk, and I will shoot that to you right away. In order to qualify, you have to have commented here in chat, and you have to have hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. So I'm going to wait a second. Oh, everybody hit it. Okay. So we hit the thumbs up. Really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. The winner of the ticket for this wonderful Hump Day Thursday, it is Rose. Another multiple winner for Rose Miller. You've got the free ticket for tonight. Congratulations, Rose. And tomorrow will be our first behind the paywall. So come and join us at Coach Talk. It's a 4-game slate tomorrow. Crash and I will do that together at 4:45. And we would absolutely love to have you to be part of the family. A week, get a full week of Coach Talk. All of our everything that we do is included. I think it's $9 is what we priced it at for a week. So go to dfscoachtalk.com, click one button there. You can sign right up, and you're part of the family. You'll be in there. You get all the podcasts and everything that we do. We do have some in front of the paywall podcasts coming up, like tomorrow night, the single game football pod is available. And then every Friday night, we'll do a big Friday night party in here with Deb and I, where we'll do some hooting and hollering, may do some singing. No, I'm just kidding. But we will give, Fridays we'll give away like 2 tickets at least. And I could probably be talked into more. We'll do that on Fridays. But pretty much other than that, it's going to be Coach Talk members only. We want to go after it now. I mean, I wanted to time it so we had a good time frame, 3 weeks, month into the season where we've seen enough games where now, it's game on. It's all in. We're going after it. We've got all the numbers figured out. We have all the ownership. We're posting everything internally, and we want to see that Coach Talk badge up there high on DraftKings, Fanduel, and Yahoo. So appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for listening in. I hope this was helpful to this crazy Fanduel slates tonight, and that you're able to take some things down on DraftKings and Yahoo as well. Appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. Dirk, great to be back with you here. And Luca, keep it going. Let's all get that cashed in and done. See you, Katie. Good to see everybody today. Have a great day. And we'll be back tomorrow for sure as we look to crush it in NBA DFS and boom fantasy.